Have you ever just had that feeling that you grew up way too fast? You know, that sense that you had to be the adult in the room long before you were actually ready? It's something so many people carry around with them, usually pretty quietly. Well, if any of that rings a bell, then you're in the right place.
Just take a second and really sit with that question. Did you have to be the grown-up? Were you the responsible one, the peacemaker, the one everyone leaned on? It's such a heavy feeling, and it gets right to the very heart of what we're going to explore together today.
So, let's start with this idea that might feel incredibly familiar to some of you, the little adult. This is for anyone who remembers hearing, "Oh, you're just so mature for your age," but deep down, you felt the enormous weight that came with that praise.
And that is the absolute key difference, isn't it? I mean, being mature can be a great thing, but this is different. This is a burden. It's this quiet, constant pressure to keep everything together, to figure out what everyone needs before they even ask, to manage emotions that aren't even yours. It's this invisible job that just completely shapes your childhood.
So, you might be wondering, is there a name for this? A psychological term for this whole experience? Well, yes, there is. Let's finally put a name to this feeling. What we're talking about is something called parentification.
So here it is, parentification. At its core, it is a total role reversal. It's when a child is basically forced into a position where they have to take care of their own parent, or they have to act like a parent to their brothers and sisters. It completely flips the entire family dynamic upside down. Now, I think this slide does a fantastic job of drawing a really clear line in the sand. See, on one side, you've got healthy responsibility. You know, things like age-appropriate chores that actually help you build skills and feel good about yourself. But on the other side, that's parentification. We're not talking about taking out the trash. We're talking about managing the family's money. We're not talking about being a good listener. We're talking about becoming your parent's therapist. It's a level of responsibility that a child's brain just isn't built to handle.
So, the big question is, where does something like this even come from? And it's so important to approach this with a lot of empathy, because parentification doesn't just happen out of nowhere. Let's dig into the roots of this burden.
And here's the thing you have to remember. This is almost always a product of the environment. It's a coping strategy that a child develops when the family is going through something really challenging and a parent just isn't able, for whatever reason, to be the parent.
And this gives you a sense of what those situations might look like. You know, think about a parent dealing with a serious physical or mental illness, and the child naturally steps up to be the main caregiver. Or a family that's struggling with substance abuse or maybe a really messy divorce, and the child becomes the mediator, just trying to keep the peace. Sometimes it's serious financial trouble that forces a kid to worry about adult problems. And in some cases, even cultural expectations can put this huge amount of pressure on a child to take on that adult role.
But here's the thing about being the little adult. That role, it doesn't just magically disappear when you turn 18. Nope, it leaves these deep, profound echoes that you can feel all through your adult life.
Wow, that really just says it all, doesn't it? The identity of being the responsible one gets so woven into who you are that it feels impossible to imagine yourself any other way. It just becomes your automatic setting for everything. And so what does that look like in real life? Well, it can show up as this constant, humming need to take care of everyone and everything. At work, with your friends, in your relationships, you're always the planner, the fixer, the one people call in a crisis. And look, that can make you incredibly capable, for sure, but it is also a one-way ticket to burnout.
And think about it, right? If you learned from day one that, hey, if I don't do this, it's just not going to get done, how on earth are you supposed to just relax and trust other people to pull their weight? It can make it so hard to delegate at work or to really truly lean on a partner. You just end up doing everything yourself. When you're a little kid trying to solve these huge, adult-sized problems, you can't possibly win. It's an impossible job. And that feeling of never being able to do enough, it often gets internalized as this really harsh inner critic. As an adult, that might sound like feeling guilty anytime you try to rest, or just this nagging feeling that you're never quite good enough, no matter how much you do.
And of course, if your entire childhood was built around meeting everybody else's needs, it becomes incredibly difficult to even know what your own needs are, let alone ask for them. This can make it really tough to build healthy give-and-take relationships and to set the boundaries you need to feel safe and respected.
Okay, so if all of this is sounding painfully familiar, what do you do? Where do you even begin? Well, this isn't about finding a quick fix. It's about starting on a gentle path toward understanding yourself better.
And this is so important to remember. The goal here is not about blame. It's not about being angry at your past, because often our parents were just doing the best they could with what they had.
The real goal is self-awareness. It's about compassionately connecting the dots between what you went through then and the patterns you see in your life now.
And here are just a few first steps you can think about on that path. First, just acknowledge it. Give yourself the permission to say, yes, that happened to me. I was parentified. No judgment, just fact. Second, let yourself grieve. It's okay to feel sad for that little kid who lost parts of their childhood. And finally, you can start the work of redefining what responsibility even means. It's a process, but it's about learning that taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's absolutely essential. And that brings us right to our last thought for today. This is the question that all of this understanding can finally open up for you. After carrying this weight for so long, who might you be if you could just gently set it down? What parts of you, what joys, what dreams might be waiting to be discovered? It's a really powerful question to carry forward with you. Thanks so much for joining me.